Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint by Sing Shong. Chapter 259. The Best at Something. Part 1. The dog who threw himself into the flames ran while carrying me for 2 days and nights. The constellations relentlessly chasing me were a frequent threat, but every time, the dog who threw himself into the flames literally threw his body to protect me. The story faithfully devoting one's life has been repeated. How far did we run? Finally, the brightness of a new day could be seen. The sub-scenario, skirmish, has ended. You have kept the story course safe during the time limit. The constellations chasing after us stopped one by one in distant places, and all types of indirect messages flew through the air. Some constellations who failed to chase you were disappointed. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is yawning and asking if it is all over. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is rejoicing with sleepy eyes. The constellation Dragon Lying Down is nodding at you ploy. Some constellations are pointing fingers at your cowardice. It didn't matter if they pointed fingers or not. The most important thing was to survive. Doc Gak stared down at me with disapproving eyes and sent me compensation. You have obtained 200,000 coins as compensation. You have obtained 2 anvil stones for equipment transcendence as a reward. I thought it was around the time for items to enhance equipment to be released. SSS grade items from the early scenarios were almost like scraps in the mid to late scenario areas. However, using the transcendence anvil stones allowed you to stop the equipment from losing its quality. The income wasn't just that. The story One Who Went Against the 12 Zodiacs has been acquired. It might be history grade, but the more stories I had, the better. In the end, these little stories gathered together to form the complete status. In particular, the stories obtained would be useful in future fights, thanks to distorting things as one pleases. The constellations chasing you are returning. No long after the constellations hid themselves, the exterior of the Ujongyuk Industrial Complex emerged. Citizens who received the escape scenario were lining up to enter the industrial complex. Fortunately, Jang Haeung and Han Myunggo had done well. I spoke to the dog who threw himself into the flames. You can leave now. You don't have to be loyal to me. He didn't want to follow me wholeheartedly anyway. Thus, it was better to part ways at this point. However, after I turned away, he kept chasing me. Pant, pant, pant. I spoke with a frown. What? You aren't going? Yep. Moisture filled the big dog's eyes. The constellation Demon-like Judge of Fire is looking pitifully at the dog who threw himself into the flames. The real name of the dog who threw himself into the flames was the dog of OSU. TL, old Korean folktale about a loyal dog who sacrificed himself to save his owner's life. In order to save his master from dying of fire, the dog wet his body and used it to extinguish the fire. Unfortunately, even this name wasn't his actual name. Are you going to follow me? Yeep. I hesitated for a moment. Come to think of it, things would be hard for this dog even if he split from me. Some of the constellations are looking at the dog who threw himself into the flames. In this world, there were just as many constellations aiming for other constellations as there were constellations aiming at incarnations. If he countered those who had the modifiers of Dog Hunter or Melberg's Dog Fancier, then he would be stolen or killed. So far, he had been safe because of the 12 Zodiacs. Then let's go together. Pant, pant, pant. However, make your size a bit smaller. It will be a disturbance if you are too big. Yeep. The dog who threw himself into the flames reduced the size of his body. He became the size of a golden retriever. Kim Dokja. Jang Haeung discovered me and waved in the distance. Hey. Are you okay? What is that dog? I picked him up. What about the others? They are busy guiding the people. The dog who threw himself into the flames licked Jang Haeung's hand. Jang Haeung asked, "What's his name?" I wanted to tell the truth, but decided to say it roughly. OSU. You have given a name to the dog who threw himself into the flames. The dog who threw himself into the flames is greatly impressed. The loyalty of the dog who threw himself into the flames has greatly increased. If I had known, I would have given him a better name. Jang Haeung carefully examined Osu's body and was delighted. This is great. Seijo will like you. I was about to ask who Seijo was when I realized. Are you talking about the Breaking the Sky Master? Was she a female? Did you forget that only women can learn the Breaking the Sky swordsmanship? Come to think of it. The Breaking the Sky swordsmanship was like that. There were too many exceptions. For example, the guy in front of me. Why are you looking at me like that? No, it's nothing. I shook my head to get rid of my thoughts. The important issue right now wasn't Jang Haeung's gender identity. Because the beginning of the Demon King selection is imminent. The Demon King selection was starting now. It came. Jang Haeung looked up nervously at my words. The entire 73rd Demon Realm was shaking. Unfamiliar colored stars appeared in the sky one by one. In order to watch the big event where the giant story was occurring, the constellations arrived from various parts of the star stream. Multiple constellations are entering the channel. Many Demon Kings are entering the channel. I could feel the mood just by looking at the beings entering the channel. The constellation, Queen of the Darkest Spring, is looking at you. The constellation God of Wine and Ecstasy is staring at you. The constellation Mass Production Maker is waving at you. The constellations I had met also appeared in the high skies. I tried to relax as I looked up at them in the sky. I had finally come to this place. There were still many scenarios remaining and they were far away. Nevertheless, it wasn't a long way off now. At the very least, I came to a place where these lofty constellations were located in this mountain range. The 25th main scenario has arrived. Excessive skipping of the main scenario has damaged party of your status. I didn't carry out the scenarios in the 20s. I started to 25th scenario straight away, so it was unavoidable that there would be a loss in probability. The main scenario Demon King selection has started. Plus, main scenario number 25 Demon King selection, category, main. Difficulty? Clear conditions, team up with helpers to win the mythical battlefield. Time limit. Compensation, official succession of the Demon King position? Failure, death. Asterisk you can recruit helpers for this scenario. Asterisk there will be additional explanations from the Dakibis as the scenario progresses. Plus, it was a scenario where death was marked as the failure result. I would die here if I lost. It wasn't unfamiliar to me since it happened often. This scenario is held on a dedicated stage. The total number of participants in this scenario is 4. The main participants can recruit helpers if it is mutually agreed upon. You are a main participant in this scenario. I felt something great from the north and west. The constellations belonging to the Meladon Industrial Complex are showing hostility towards you. The constellations belonging to the Burken Industrial Complex are showing hostility towards you. As the constellations in the sky flashed, the voice of the Dakibi was heard. You have been waiting a long time, constellations. They were Dokgak and Baihyung. Finally, the Demon King selection that you have been waiting for has begun. Along with Baihyung's words, a large hologram of a stage appeared on the screen in the air. First, thank you to the mass production maker for making the game stage for this scenario. There was exaggerated applause as the map created by the mass production maker appeared on the hologram. The game Mythical Battlefield is loaded. The map was a vast forest area with huge cliffs at the edges. The forest zone contained patterns of the industrial complex in the east, west, north and south, which probably signified the starting points of each industrial complex. As you might have expected, this selection isn't simply a hit-and-run fight. It will be held in the form of a team competition, with each team being an industrial complex. Some of the constellations were surprised by the Dakibi's words and sent indirect messages. Of course, I wasn't surprised. I knew it well through the original novel. The rules of the game are simple. All participants can make a team of 7 people, including themselves. Every team member is given a different position and will play a role in the scenario through that position. It was similar to the so-called AOS games that were once popular on Earth. 1 tanker, 2 close-range damage dealers, 2 long-range damage dealers, and 1 supporter. Finally, 1 all-rounder. This was the game, the mythical battlefield, where 7 people teamed up to fight. The Constellation mass production maker is smiling. As a matter of fact, this game was made of elements that had been stolen from somewhere. The Dakibi's words continued. There are 2 ways to win the game. One is to annihilate the participants of other teams apart from your own. The second way is to take away the sentence of the other team. Well, there will be more details once you join the game. Rather, there is one more important announcement. Baihyung glanced at me after long words. A total of 4 teams were originally scheduled to participate in this selection competition, but one of the industrial complexes almost collapsed before the game started. I felt uneasy for a moment. Baihyung continued. To consider the fairness of the game, we have decided to tie 2 comparatively unfavorable industrial complexes together into one team. Then I heard a message in the air. You are currently a participant of the Ujonhyuk Kim Dokja Industrial Complex. It was an unexpected situation. I had been worried about Ujonhyuk's team, so now I was able to reduce my troubles. Perhaps it was Baihyung's doing. In any case, why was it the Ujonhyuk Kim Dokja Industrial Complex? Based on the order of the Hangul flowchart, shouldn't the name of the industrial complex be Kim Dokja Ujonhyuk Industrial Complex? In any case, Jang Haeung, where is Ujonhyuk now? I looked around for Ujonhyuk, but I couldn't find any traces of him. Jang Haeung's eyes were wide as he asked back, what are you talking about? Didn't you meet him? Meet him? Didn't he go looking for you? What? I had a bad feeling. I hurriedly used Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. You can't connect with the current target. Damn it. I was wondering how to find this son of a bitch when something flashed on my mind. Fortunately, it was now midday. You have used the midday tryst. The midday tryst. It was a one-on-one chat item that I linked to this guy in the past. I didn't know if it was in range, but this was the only thing I could believe in right now. There are 39 unread messages. By the way, I had dozens of messages from him. I hurriedly opened the window. The first message started as followed. Kim Dokja, I saved Bayu/sender, Ujonhyuk, 47 hours and 39 minutes ago. The messages continued to come over the next few days. But why did you suddenly disappear, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 46 hours and 54 minutes ago? I have no time for your childish antics, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 46 hours and 39 minutes ago. I will kill you if you don't show up again, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 45 hours and 18 minutes ago. It isn't a joke, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 44 hours and 39 minutes ago. Kim Dokja, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 41 hours and 38 minutes ago. After that, the dozens of messages continued. The last message was, I will go, /sender, Ujonhyuk, 23 hours and 14 minutes ago. No, where did this bastard plan to go? I was dumbfounded and quickly sent a message. You idiot, come back quickly. I am currently in the industrial complex. However, Ujonhyuk didn't answer. There were no signs that he read it. Instead, I received a scenario message that was like a death sentence. Please recruit your helpers within 10 minutes. You can recruit 6 helpers. There were 2 dogs, one gender-ambiguous human and a person trembling with fear that I would point to him. He had postpartum depression, damn it. I urgently needed to fill up the 7 people, regardless of power. I sighed and opened my mouth. I will choose the helpers. The 2 dogs, Jang Haeung and Han Myungo, were included, but I still needed 2 more. Even if 1 spot was left for Ujonhyuk, 1 more person had to be recruited separately. I looked up at the sky. Every constellation in the channel is listening to you. Now it was time to test my network. Chapter 260. The Best at Something. Part 2. The moment I opened my mouth towards the constellations, the frightened Han Myungo raised his hands. Don't include me. Honestly, I don't think I will be any help. He was frightened. All participants and helpers would be at least a great constellation. It was a power that head manager Han of Minosoft didn't have. I touched Han Myungo's shoulder and told him, please fill in the number of people. It isn't a real death even if you die in there. Just close your eyes and play the game. The mythical battlefield had a total of 3 chances. If I lost this round, I could make up for it in the next round and the round after that. But it will be painful. Yes. Then I don't want to. I won't. Thank you, Department Head Nim. You have gained Demon Earl Han Myungo as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 5 people. It would be nice if I could get a better pinch hitter, but there were no suitable talents. I could choose Mark or Aileen, but they were honestly inferior to Han Myungo, who was a Demon Earl. I will naturally participate. Jang Haeung bumped his fists like he had been waiting. You have gained Dimensional Mover Jang Haeung as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 4 people. How much was Jang Haeung's combat power now? I heard he came 3rd in the martial arts competition, but I couldn't feel it because I wasn't present. The Jang Haeung of any round hadn't succeeded the breaking the sky swordsmanship during this period. I turned my head towards another breaking the sky sword saint disciple. Breaking the sky master. Woof. The answer was simple. You have gained knowledgeable dog breaking the sky master as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 3 people. The transcendent dog breaking the sky master could definitely compete with the great constellations. This dog would obviously be a big help in this fight. By the way, the expression of the breaking the sky master wasn't good. Growling. Woof. The breaking the sky master's blustery gaze was directed towards a dog. I knew what he meant. That's right. He is a new colleague. Woof woof woof. It can't be helped even if you don't like it. OSU, who had been watching quietly, started sniffing the butt of the breaking the sky master. Then the breaking the sky master had flames in her eyes as she kicked his forehead. Yep. He wasn't reliable, but I had to add him as a colleague. He was better than Han Myungo because he was a great constellation. You have gained dog who threw himself into the flames as a helper. Number of helper spots left, 2 people. One of the remaining 2 spots was for Yu Jonghyuk. You have registered Supreme King Yu Jonghyuk as a helper. The character is currently not nearby. Once the person accepts the offer, they will be automatically summoned to the battlefield. There are 5 minutes remaining. Now I had 1 spot left. The constellation Demon King of Salvation is looking at the constellations. I could feel the eyes of the constellations on me. Let's get a volunteer. Is there anyone who can become a helper? To be honest, I thought there was no way there would be no applicants. The constellations in the channel were those who had been following my story all the way here. If there was more than 1 volunteer, I might be able to replace Han Myungo. By the way, the constellation Queen of the Darkest Spring is making an unknown smile. The constellation Bald General of Justice wipes his head hard. The constellation Mass Production Maker is complaining of back pain. Shit. Many constellations are turning their heads away from your eyes. I glared at the sky with disapproving eyes. This stage might not be deserving of Persephone or the Mass Production Maker, but there were the great constellations. I sighed and turned towards Jang Haeung. Jang Haeung, did you contact the constellations I mentioned? Yes. In order to prepare for this day, I asked Jang Haeung to get in touch with some constellations. What about Maritime War God? He said he will think about it. I frowned. How long was he going to think about it? No matter how much he was worried about the probability. Was he afraid of going against other nebulae? The constellation Bald General of Justice is wiping his head with a towel. Originally, my plan was to bring Breaking the Sky Sword Namgung Minyoung and Paradox Baekchun Kyrios Rodgrain. However, these two people were now in Murim. Goryeo first sword? There was no answer. At this point, I felt a bit betrayed. The constellation Bald General of Justice has a traffic expression as he wrapped the towel he wiped his forehead with around his head. It couldn't be helped. If this happened, I had to choose the second best thing. The constellation Bald General of Justice is nodding and looking at you. Asmodeus. Didn't you say you would help me? A sinister black star in the corner of the sky wriggled at my words. The Demon King of Lust and Fury is looking at you. The Demon King of Lust and Fury says he will help from the third round. From the third round? The Demon King of Lust and Fury wants to test if you deserve his help. I bit my lip. This damn Demon King was now measuring me. I wondered if I could make it to the third round. Fortunately, I didn't see any names of Demon Kings among the helpers on the other side. In the Meladon, the constellation Founder of Humanity has been designated as a helper. In the Burkan, the constellation The Last Pharaoh has been designated as a helper. In the Meladon, the constellation Poked Out His Eyes has been designated as a helper. In the Meladon, the constellation General of Banera has been designated as a helper. There were the modifiers of some fearsome constellations, even if they weren't demon kings. I could even see some narrative-grade constellations. The desire of the constellations to tear, chew, and taste this scenario could be felt on my skin. It was a situation where I had to grasp at any straws. Boreal. The Nebula Eden is troubled by your suggestion. The demon kings of the demon world are paying close attention to the movements of the Nebula Eden. I forgot that this was the demon world. The image of Uriel and the writings of the Scribe of Heaven appeared in front of my eyes. As long as the agreement between the two groups persisted, Uriel wouldn't be able to participate in the game. In the end, I reached out for another straw. The Great Sage, the equal of heaven. However, the reaction of the Great Sage, the equal of heaven. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is scoffing at you. The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is clicking his tongue at the constellations of the other industrial complexes. He seemed to think that this stage didn't fit his pride as the Monkey King. It would hurt his self-esteem to lower himself to this scenario. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is chuckling towards you. Jang Haeung asked like he had heard the message. What about the Fire Dragon? No. Why? He's better than I thought. I knew the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon wasn't a bad guy, but his power was too risky to borrow. Crucially, there was a separate place where the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon was needed. I eventually sighed. It can't be helped. The only remaining constellation is... Who? The constellation Bald General of Justice is holding his bamboo stick like he has been waiting. Jang Haeung, send a message to Secretive Plotter. Some constellations are surprised by your choice. The constellation Secretive Plotter. Of the 4 main constellations in my channel, he was the only one whose identity I didn't know. I didn't know why he hadn't showed up in my channel when the Great Sage, the equal of heaven, and the Black Dragon had appeared. A small number of constellations are afraid of your choice. Some constellations are trying to dissuade you from your choice. The reactions of the constellations were understandable. I wasn't sure about the identity of the secretive plotter, but it was highly likely he was an outer god. He also had enough influence to knock away the great old ones. Perhaps the other constellations were deeply conscious of this fact. Jang Haeung typed something in the air before calling out to me, Kim Dokja. Did you say it properly? Why? Look at this. Jang Haeung showed me the screen he had entered. The following message was on the screen. This modifier doesn't exist in the star stream. I was stunned and asked Jang Haeung, did you enter it correctly? Do you think I'm a fool? Jang Haeung once again entered Secretive Plotter. This modifier doesn't exist in the star stream. Secretive plotter, this modifier didn't exist? The constellation Prisoner of the Golden Headband is making an interested expression. The constellation Abyssal Black Flame Dragon is curious. The constellation Master of the Skywalk is turning on the network. A number of constellations are searching for secretive plotter. I didn't think it would be like this and was momentarily paralyzed. There is 1 minute remaining. In fact, there were cases where constellations had multiple modifiers. However, was that the current situation? A modifier had disappeared? What now? Jang Heung stared at me with nervous eyes. The remaining time was less than 30 seconds. The constellation Bald General of Justice is screaming and standing up. I looked up at the sky. It was hard to ignore him anymore. Samyangdang, please help. The moment I spoke, lightning flashed in the sky. The constellation Bald General of Justice is using probability to summon an incarnation body. I stared at the incarnation body that was being formed in the dazzling light and thought about it. It might be better to have a trustworthy ally compared to a strong but uncontrollable constellation. At the very least, Samyangdang was one of the constellations who supported me when I first got the rights to open a nebula. The summoning ceremony ended, but the light still hadn't disappeared. A closer look showed a flash of light from the head of Samyangdang. I used my hand to form a curtain as a voice was heard. It's been a while, Kim Dokja. I was impressed by the true voice that contained a formidable history. Dogs and cats could become constellations if they were lucky. This didn't mean they were constellations. It's been a long time, Samyangdang. The 3 meters tall monk. He held a large bamboo stick that was like a giant tree. The great constellation, Samyangdang, finally revealed his true self. You have gained Bald General of Justice as a helper. You have all your helpers. All participants have completed recruiting their helper. The game Mythical Battlefield has appeared in the Demon World. Chapter 261. The Best at Something. Part 3. The moment I heard the system message, the surrounding landscape started to change. The Mythical Battlefield. The feature of this mythical battlefield was to virtually borrow the stage of a giant story. You have entered the Armageddon battlefield. The game will start after 3 minutes. On one side of the sky, a stairway of heaven opened while the other side was a door of hell. If this was real, the archangels of Eden would have flocked to the staircase, while the demon kings of the demon world would have come out of the gate of hell. Fortunately, there was no such thing. This was a hypothetical stage. The constellation Guardian of Youths and Travel is frowning at the familiar stage. The demon king of Lust and Fury is showing hostility to Guardian of Youths and Travel. Many constellations and demon kings are confronting each other. I really hoped it wouldn't be a big deal. It is eerie. Jang Heung held his shoulders while looking up at the sky. I heard an eerie sound in the background. I looked at the huge shield that surrounded us. The shield would protect us until the game started. Stay alert. Please check your selected position. The party members regained their composure at my words. Who's the tanker? I am. The tanker was Samyangdang, the close-range damage dealers were me and the Breaking the Sky Master, and the long-range damage dealers were Jang Heung and OSU. Han Myungo was the supporter. Finally, the all-rounder was Yu Jonghyuk? He might have fallen somewhere else. The mythical battlefield depended on where you were summoned from. The helper, Yu Jonghyuk, has responded to the summons. This message appeared, so Yu Jonghyuk should be somewhere on the battlefield. Jang Heung asked, is this game on a battlefield of time and space? I've seen it. If the enemy's stronghold is destroyed. That's right. Still, it is a bit different. Usually, an AOS game ended when you captured the enemy's main base. This game was different. We have to capture the sentence, not the base. Sentence? I pointed to the object that was in Han Myungo's hand. It was a small monument shining with brilliant colors. What is this? We have to protect that. The monument literally contained a small sentence. Messengers of heaven, gatekeeper of hell. Han Myungo was terrified and tried to hand over the monument to me. I pushed it with the palm of my hand and stated, Department Head Nim should hold it. It is important to guard it well. It is because it is important that Dr. SSI should. Department Head Nim should hold it because it is important. The sentence is usually held by the main participant. The enemies are expecting that. I won't do it. I have never played such a game. Han Myungo was dull in games, despite being the department head of a game company. Come to think of it, Yusanga played games well. Yusanga carried her team alone and reached the finals of the in-house game competition. However, the person present now was Han Myungo, not Yusanga. In any case, there are two ways to win this game. One is to steal the enemy team's sentence. The other is to kill all of the enemy team's participants. It will be easier to steal the sentence. Yes, that is usually the case. Good. Leave it to me. Jang Haeung cried out in a highly motivated manner. However, this wasn't a solo game. I know you are motivated, but stop your personal play. From now on, we will make a plan. Bark bark. Woof woof. I had forgotten two of my companions. The dog who threw himself into the flames was sniffing around the periphery while the Breaking the Sky Master was lying down like she wasn't interested. I turned my head toward my last hope. Samyangdang. He seemed to be listening to advice from other constellations, so he was the only one I could expect anything from. I don't understand because you are using difficult words. Game, what is this? Samyangdang had an incredibly annoyed expression. Some of the constellations of the Korean peninsula are frustrated with the bald general of justice. I never considered that he was an elder. Samyangdang didn't know the modern game terminology. In any case, I just have to kill all of them? Yes, it is similar. If that's the case, we'll be the winner. I am your helper. Samyangdang started to run while wielding his bamboo stick. The game has started. Then the stage's shield was finally lifted. The stats of the players will be automatically adjusted based on the difficulty of the game. In the first round, all participants can only use 10% of their original stats. This penalty will be reduced as the number of rounds increases. Then in our stairway to heaven's side, small angels resembling fairies started to fly. The team support group is created. The low-grade angels are helping you. The surprised OSU barked at the angels. Hey! Don't bite them. They're on our side. Samyangdang, wait. Let's go together. It was a roller coaster from the start. Samyangdang was in the front line and the Breaking the Sky Master and OSU started sprinting after him. Jang Haeung and I chased them while Han Myungo was timid at the back of the party. Department Head Nim, stay in the back as much as possible. Don't come forward. I will do my best. Han Myungo was excellent at running away and would find a way no matter what. The map changed? We left our main area and a vast plains area unfolded in front of us. Both sides of the plains had a valley and forest, respectively. If I remembered correctly, there was the Apocalypse Amugi on the valley side and the Fallen Seraphim on the forest side. In addition, there were quite a number of monsters that gave a buff effect if they were caught early in the map. Wait a minute. Samyangdang. Don't go too fast. Believe in me. I'm strong in a war. Samyangdang let out a brilliant true voice and reached into the air. Fallen spirits of the Korean peninsula. Give me the power to win. Who would give strength to Samyangdang? Surprisingly, messages were heard. The constellation Lady of the Brocade Sleep is supporting the constellation Bald General of Justice. The constellation Last Hero of Wangsanville is cheering on the constellation Bald General of Justice. The constellation King Hungmu the Great has sponsored 100 coins to the constellation Bald General of Justice. It was literally a simple cheer. Oh! Soon after, the enemy appeared in front of him. Every constellation in an incarnation body was holding a weapon. General of Vanera. poked out his eyes. Thunder-eating bird. There was a monstrous monkey dressed in armor with golden feathers. In addition, King Oedipus, whom I once met, the constellations were encountered seemed to be from the Meladon industrial complex. It was a party where narrative-grade constellations were mixed. However, there was still a chance of winning because they had less insight into the game. "Come on, you barbarians!" Samyangdang discovered the enemies and made a sudden attack. His voice was so loud that I felt some expectations for a moment. Yes, I didn't know until I saw him fight. On the battlefield where only 10% of stats could be used, I didn't know the strength of Samyangdang. I couldn't belittle a great grade constellation. There were strong people like Chiok Junyang among them. This guardian god of victory will break down this battle formation. Samyangdang swept the bamboo stick. The confused constellation screamed and an explosion swept through the battlefield. Flesh scattered everywhere. A weapon was broken. Blood scattered from a wound. The first death has occurred. Samyangdang fought well. I looked around at the party members and cried out, "Everyone, run away!" The Helper Bald General of Justice was defeated by the Helper General of Van Era. The Industrial Complex Meladon team has earned 1 point. Shit, what was with that monk? Believe in him? Han Myungo was the fastest when it came to running away. I thought it would be like this, but Samyangdang wasn't just trolling. Samyangdang's soul is roaming the battlefield. Oh! The dead soul of Samyangdang wandered around the battlefield and attacked the constellations coming after us. It was thanks to this that we found a chance to run away. However, the enemy's pursuit was fast. The first one chasing us was a huge bird covering the sky. It was the thunder-eating bird. If I remembered correctly, the bird's real name was Garuda. He was the mount of Vishnu, one of the 3 lords of Vedas. His beak changed trajectory in the air and turned towards me. The constellation dog who threw himself into the flames is throwing his body to protect you. At this moment, OSU ran forward. He struck Garuda's big body from the side. Growling. Fortunately, OSU clung onto the feathers of Garuda. Flames rose as OSU barked at us to run away. Bark bark. Bark. Yip. It was a situation where OSU was clinging to a constellation. It was too late to save him. The helper dog who threw himself into the flames has died. Damn it. The situation was getting worse. The Breaking the Sky Master was nowhere to be seen. The people left were Jang Haeung, Han Myungo, and I am sorry. Then Han Myungo suddenly committed an abrupt act. Han Myungo cut off one of his legs. The character Han Myungo has activated one-legged Swift Runner LV10. Oh, Han Myungo had that damn stigma. Han Myungo started running like an ostrich. Yes, it was all over of Han Myungo, so it was better for him to run away. By the way, that skill had already reached level 10. Kim Dokja. Now what? I blocked Jang Haeung and immediately jumped into the surrounding grass. You have concealed yourself in the nearby terrain. The effect of the bush means the enemies can't detect you. Grr. I looked up at Garuda and whispered to Jang Haeung. We can't fight against them with our current power. We have to aim to win by default due to the other players dropping out. It was important to buy time. Do you plan to consume time? For now. There was something I believed in. It was strange since I thought I was going to win with just this member. Somehow, I had to drag out the time a bit more. At least, until he came. The Demon King of Salvation. Where are you? The true voice echoed in front of the bush. It has been a while since our ill-fated relationship. Fleeing fate and living in a place like this, the blind prophet couldn't read it. The humble but arrogant way of speaking made me instantly aware of his identity. After a while, the presence of King Oedipus, the blind and shrewd king, appeared in the forest. I knew he had participated in this selection. However, I didn't expect to encounter him so quickly. You know that hiding is useless. This blind prophet already knows where you are. The moment Zhang Heiyang's shoulders flinched, I placed a finger to his mouth. Don't worry. He can't read my future with his ability. Thus, it was a clear trap. The moment we revealed ourselves, all the nearby constellations would run. It isn't too late now. Olympus is still open to you. The constellation Demon King of Salvation says to go away and not speak bullshit. How funny. King Oedipus laughed, but his expression was completely stiff. I'll see if you can keep staying still. The surrounding constellations started to sweep through the bushes. Their attacks were devastating as they used all types of explosions, acid and fire to damage the nearby bushes. The acidic liquid melted my feet and burned my neck and wrists. However, I held Zhang Heiyang's wrists tightly and didn't move. A little bit more. Just a bit more. The bombardment swept through the area. Fortunately, they didn't seem to have found us. They started gradually moving away from us. Just a bit more. I listened to the sound and estimated their distance. 10 steps, 20 steps, 30 steps. Suddenly, all the explosions disappeared. Run. Zhang Heiyang and I ran out of the bush. We didn't see any constellations. At this moment, a scream was heard out of nowhere. It was a long and terrible scream. In the distant sky, a bird was falling down with a giant sword through its neck. The helper thunder-eating bird has been killed. He came.